Triple Threat Podcast. I am Lucky, joined by MVP and the third man, Alexis. You can follow all the links to all our pages in the description box below. We're going to switch gears this week. Usually we do Raw, SmackDown recap, but we lost a couple of big people in the wrestling community this week, so we just want to make a memoriam episode, talk about our favorite moments from Mr. Terry Funk and Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt. So MVP, third man, how you guys been handling the news this week?
Um, tough week for wrestling fans. I had a hard time getting through SmackDown without having some heartstrings pulled.
Yeah, SmackDown was emotional. Did you catch that, Alexis, SmackDown?
I did. Wrestling lost two legends today, this week, and it's been a rough one. It's been a rough one, but I applaud the wrestling world just coming together during this time. It's a beautiful thing during a very tough time.
Yeah, especially someone so young is like it kind of hit me hard. I'm sure you too as well. We're all the same age, but Bray was my age, 36. Born 1987, and to go out just and we're not promoting news or anything, right? Just what I've read in my own research is that he had a heart attack from the COVID complications, and it's just sad. Overall, I mean, he's got kids and a wife, and as much as they're entertainers and we like to gripe about who we don't like, who we do like on wrestling, but he's a human being, and he's gone just like that, and it's sad, especially for his family. So but yeah, I think that it'd be good to do like our top 5 list, but we'll do like the Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, our top 5 moments, whatever we liked and what we saw. So MVP, let's kick it to you. Like, we'll start with Terry Funk and then we'll go into Bray Wyatt. So you could do a moment and then we can all circle around. And
Okay, so I'm gonna be very honest. I didn't grow up a fan of Terry Funk. I mean, I respected him, doing what he did. He's an old timer. He was a mentor to Mick Foley. But I was able to get some moments that really stood out to me. And for number one, I had all right. So he's very synonymous with having retirement matches.
yeah,
This one would have to be like one of his earlier ones. It was in Japan. I believe it was against Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy. And at the end, just like I think it was in Japan, and it was his very very infamous Forever promo.
oh yeah,
Forever, forever, and tears down his eyes, and forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a good moment. What about you, Alexis?
So Terry Funk, we're all around the same age, but Terry Funk, I think, was was at his peak before we probably were born or got into wrestling.
Yeah,
I remember Terry Funk from W. That's when I first had my first vivid memories of him, where he used to do all the crazy hardcore matches. So the first moment that comes to me is he was actually involved in the first ever barbed wire match I had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I believe it was a barbed wire match where he was in a tag team match against Public Enemy. And that was the first time I've ever seen something like that. Bloody and seeing the ropes and that fire. That's my first memory of him, and I just as a young kid, you couldn't really believe what you were seeing. And he was past his prime at that time. He was probably in his 40s, 50s at that time, but he was hanging with those young guys. So that's my first really true memory of Terry Funk.
Yeah, and like some matches like that, like especially when, like you said, we're the same age. Like growing up, and you don't know what's real and what isn't, because like it's scripted, you're understanding it, but like when you see something like that, you're like, okay, I know that they're saying it's fake. He just rubbed barbed wire in that guy's face,
right?
So and then you grow up and you realize, like watching all these documentaries we get now, and like that's real. Like they're doing that for our entertainment. and I think he's one of the revolutionaries behind the hardcore matches we know now. That we've seen. Like, he's done crazy stuff. Especially in ECW. But my first moment. So I've mentioned this a bunch of times. I used to rent all the old pay-per-views and watch them every weekend. That's what me and my uncle did. One of the matches I wrote down is the Great American Bash 1989. He fought Ric Flair in the main event for the NWA Championship. And he proved that as much of a hardcore legend as he is, he could hang in there with Ric Flair. It was a fantastic match. So, like, when you're thinking of ring technicians, he did his thing with Ric Flair in the main event and showed that, like, I do all this crazy stuff, but I can also main event for the NWA Championship, which, a lot, even though you had, like, WWF was bigger than WCW at the time, the NWA Championship is, like, where you watch main events. That is, like,
10 pounds of gold.
Yep. So that's one of my favorite moments is watching that match, and because I love Ric Flair, but when you see Terry Funk fight him, I'm like, man, that was a good match for Terry Funk, So we'll kick it back to MVP.
All right. So as I said before, he is very synonymous with his retirement matches. This one is very infamous because it happened in the movie Beyond the Mat. He had his retirement match against Bret Hart, and what made it very memorable. Yes, yeah. And that movie came out in '97, and he's already over the hill. His retirement match, he's still like doing moonsaults.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and that's crazy. An old man doing a backflip. One thing that stood out to me about the whole thing with that match was the infamous Dennis Stamp.
Yeah.
They showed him, like, Terry Funk's like, you got to be there for my last match. It's my last match. He's like, I'm not booked. And he's like, well, can you be the referee?
Yeah.
And the thing about Dennis Stamp, he's like, yeah, I try to stay in shape, and he's in his underwear jumping on a trampoline with dumbbells. He's like, you got to stay ready because you never know when your next match will be.
Yeah.
And he had the big thing. I can't be there. I'm not booked. And they were able to make him the special guest referee, and he got his booking. So yeah, I mean, I guess it was memorable for another way, but it still involved Terry Funk.
Absolutely.
And he defeated the great Bret Hart.
Yep.
In one of his many retirement matches.
Yeah. No, that's a good one too. I definitely watched that one too. Third man.
So, like I said, I didn't see a ton of Terry Funk, but the stuff that I did see was extremely entertaining. And the next vivid memory I really have of Terry Funk was when he was Chainsaw Charlie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When he had the nylon over his face, and I think he was first feuding with Mankind, and then they became like a tag team after that. And
he brought a Cactus Jack, right? Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie.
Brought Cactus Jack back out, and just him running out with that chainsaw and just being crazy with those overalls. I just thought it was really funny, and the promos between them two were really funny and entertaining, and just those rough hardcore matches, man. I think he might have had a hardcore championship win sometime when they had the old Winged Eagle that was busted up. That was a hardcore title.
Yeah, he definitely had to have at some point. Yeah.
I think I remember him in that Chainsaw Charlie have a title run. So that's my next memory of the Funker.
Yeah.
I want to add on to that. One thing that just vividly just radiates in my mind right now was that dumpster match against the New Age Outlaws.
Oh yeah, when they were a tag team. Yep.
You guys are teaming up on me. You both stole 2 moments from me in one little sentence there, but
I'm sorry.
But Speaking of Mick Foley, this wasn't Chainsaw Charlie, but actually WWE Raw 1998. I don't know the month or the day, but it was in 1998. Mick Foley and Terry Funk main evented Raw. And it was a great match. They brawled all over the arena. And it was just a crazy match. And Mick Foley ended up winning. Terry Funk put him over. And it actually made him a bigger threat to Steve Austin's title, Mick Foley. And Steve Austin was on commentary during that match, too. I remember that. But, yeah, just anytime you saw Terry Funk and Mick Foley together, they're such good friends. You knew they were going to put on a clinic just for our entertainment. And that's one of my favorite matches for sure. So.
So you said one thing there. He put over Mankind. And if it's one thing that he had no problem doing throughout his career, was putting people over.
Yep.
And he was happy to do it.
Yeah, he was.
My third moment would be. It's from the movie Paradise Alley with Sylvester Stallone.
Hey, Adrian.
His character was Frankie the Thumper, and he had a match against Kid Salami.
Yeah.
I gotta check that. I gotta check that one out.
Was,
Matt Frost.
Sylvester
Okay.
Stallone's
MVP.
Wait, technical difficulties.
Oh yeah.
He's enjoying himself. He doesn't even know he's freezing.
Yeah, dude, it's a good movie. And he.
Yeah. No, you're freezing terribly. We'll come back to that moment. Try to fix your connection. Oh, you're good now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so this was a prime Terry Funk. So he wasn't a wrinkly old man body. He was in his prime and he was built. He looked like one of the big guys today. And then the guy he was in there with, Kid Salami, wasn't a slouch either. But I don't know. That's my number 3 from the movie Paradise Alley.
Nice.
There you go. Third man.
For my third one, it really isn't like a memory. It's kind of like to piggyback off of what Matt said. I went back and I just went to see what Terry Funk looked like in his prime, right? Because we never got to really see him during that time. And like Matt said, this guy was jacked.
Yeah.
This guy was jacked. This is a good-looking dude. He was probably Ric Flair in it before Ric Flair was kind of doing his thing, all around the territories. And I was doing some research, and it was pretty interesting that he actually won the NWA Championship from another WWE legend, Jack Briscoe.
Yep.
So it looks like he won in 1975. It looks like he won his NWA Championship, got that 10 pounds of gold from Jack Briscoe. So I thought that was pretty interesting, seeing that when we seen him, he was a little bit over the hill and kind of winning hardcore championships and then kind of gimmick matches, but he was a top guy, if not arguably the top guy, in those 70s. So I thought that was pretty cool to research and find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, for sure. My next one. So this one I had to do a little research. I didn't watch this match until when he passed, and because when someone passes, you start looking up their stuff and see what they did. And then I didn't even know this match existed until I YouTubed it. I watched it. I'm like, this is crazy. But it was Terry Funk versus, I'm gonna butcher the name, Atsushi Onita.
Atsushi
Onita. Yeah. And it was the FMW 4th anniversary show. It was the exploding barbed wire match. And I'm talking about pools of blood. I'm talking about at the 15-minute mark when you're watching the match, the ring explodes. Like that's how crazy this match is, right? The ring explodes in them.
Everything. It's everything that John Moxley versus Kenny
Yes,
Omega wanted it to be.
correct. And they actually referenced that match during
Okay.
that. So this is that just I had to put it in here because it shows people like Mick Foley and Terry Funk, like they would literally put their body on the line
Yep.
just so you could leave and say that was crazy. Like I'm not putting my body on the line just for other people's reactions. That takes dedication to your craft, and that's just crazy. Like a exploding barbed wire match.
Oh yeah.
Nuts. But we'll kick it back to MVP.
Okay. Number 4 for me is another movie.
Mm.
um, it's another Sylvester Stallone movie. Over the
Cool.
Top.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
over the
baby.
top. So he wasn't actually an arm wrestler. He wasn't another wrestler in that movie was Scott Norton. Fun fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, he played more of a henchman type guy. Um, Lincoln Hawks, that was Sylvester Stallone's character. His father-in-law. He worked for his father-in-law to bring back his son because the father-in-law didn't like him too much, and
Yeah.
he looked in good shape there too. Not as good as in Paradise Alley, but he was still rocking the suit, and yeah, that's another movie.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I gotta rewatch that movie because I don't remember the Funker being in that movie. And I remember that movie that Sylvester Stallone was a trucker, right? He was a
Yep.
trucker and he had his son with him.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I'm remembering the right movie. I'm
Oh,
gonna have to go check that one out. I don't
I
remember.
actually think it's free on YouTube.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna have to check
Um,
that one out.
Honorary mention because I don't think any of us had it, and I know you didn't see it, Matt. But Terry Funk was in Roadhouse, by the way, which I think
Yeah.
is out of
Patrick
all the movies
Swayze.
we talked about, is probably the more popular one, just with
Yeah.
80s pop culture and all that.
Mhm.
But he was one of the bouncers that
I haven't
Patrick
seen
Swayze.
it.
I will tell you this right now, it's worth a watch. I'd
Okay.
definitely watch it if I were you, because I watched it. Just my wife is sleeping. I'm watching it on the TV, and I'm like, I'm gonna fall asleep to this movie. I watched the whole thing. I'm like, oh, this is pure '80s right here, like for sure.
Well,
Um,
Patrick Swayze was the man, so
oh yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Rest in peace to Patrick Swayze. We lost a lot of legends in our lifetime, but anyway, this is a wrestling podcast. We lost someone else today too, but
Yes, we did.
yeah. Chainsaw Charlie was my number 4. Y'all took it. I'm still gonna bring it up because
Bring it up.
that was when you think of Attitude Era, I think of like Rock and Steve Austin, but I think of the dumpster match against the New Age Outlaws with Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack. Because when Chainsaw Charlie was out there and someone is like challenging him, and he says, "Oh, I got a partner," and then another guy just as crazy as him comes out, you're like, okay, well, how do we beat 2 crazy guys? Like these guys don't care about their bodies. Like, they're in dumpsters and they push each other off the stage. That's
Yeah.
crazy. But
Yeah,
the whole look, like you guys said, the overalls, the nylon, it was pantyhose, I think. It was just
yeah.
like, because one other leg of the pantyhose was hanging off to the side, and he's got his chainsaw revved up. Like, that is pure When I was a kid, I was so into that. I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, I'm all for it. But
And then you went into your mom's sock drawer and got her pantyhose put in.
Make sure,
the
yeah,
thought crossed my mind because you want to replicate everything you see on TV, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So anyway, back to you, MVP.
All right, so my final memory would be my last memory of him, and this was at ECW One Night Stand. It was him, Tommy Dreamer, and Beulah McGillicuddy versus Edge, Lita, and Mick Foley.
Of course.
And I do remember he was cut up, and this is like near the end of the road. Terry Funk, he was still messing with the barbed wire.
That's
And I
crazy.
do remember he needed to go back. I think they brought him back because, they're like, oh, he's old. Probably ended up being too much for him. He walked back out there, one eye covered because, he messed with the barbed wire and still was able to finish the match.
Yeah.
And this is prime rated R superstar. So you had Edge spearing Beulah and having a very missionary pin.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Terry Funk, the last match I've seen. I don't know if he had any after that, but that was the last match I've seen of the Funker.
There you go. Third man.
Well, I did a little bit of research with Terry Funk, and I actually came across his Hall of Fame speech when he was in WWE.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that a lot of people probably don't think about is, and what I didn't really think about, is Terry Funk can talk on that stick, on that mic. He can cut a promo with the best of them. And just hearing his stories and talking about, his journey, and how wrestling, he was with his brother Dory. Fun fact: my mother-in-law actually lived in Ocala, Florida, where Dory Funk has his school, and she actually sent
The
me,
Funkin' Dojo.
yeah, she actually sent me an autograph picture of Dory, and she actually sent it up when he was putting up a show out there. So, just really cool to see, Terry and the stories that he had, and how, what really kind of touched me. He said, when I die, I want to go to wrestling. I want to go to heaven in the wrestling ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to hear something like that just really shows that he really loved wrestling, and really brought the hardcore stuff that was kind of really happening in Japan. He was doing a lot of that stuff early in Japan, brought that over to the States, and contributed to him being a household name. And Cactus Jack, I think guys like Cactus Jack have a lot to thank Tory Funk from that hardcore aspect.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the last moment I have is a match too. So got to go back to a piggyback from my number one match of his. He fought Ric Flair in a I Quit match. I didn't write down the event. I did. Clash of Champions 9. There was an I Quit match. And again, I don't know how to explain how the technician work that he was doing. And like I'm struggling with this. Like, it's not a near fall. You're trying to get a guy to say I quit, but like those, like you stick the mic in there and like, he's just not going to give up. He's not going to give up. I mean, he's crazy. He's going to put his body on the line. But in the end, again, like MVP said, putting people over, he had no problem with it. Ric Flair did win that match. So he let Ric Flair win, which is crazy because a guy that doesn't quit and doesn't care about his own body, for him to say I quit to, put his buddy over, that's pretty crazy. So no, it was a good match with Ric Flair. If you have not seen that one, definitely check it out, because it shows that, like, when you watch him in that match, you're like, he belongs in the main event picture. He could put on a good match. Like, it's not like all barbed wire and all that. You can just have a strict technician match and go for 25, 30 minutes, So, yeah, I think that's all we got on Terry Funk, right?
R.I.P. to the Funker, man.
Yep. And it's hard because, like you said, it's that generational thing. Like, all the things he accomplished, we were in diapers, like the big things he did. So when we finally get to see him, he's wearing pantyhose on his head and got a chainsaw, and then we got to do some research into how great he actually truly was. So 79 years young, rest in peace to Terry Funk.
79, that's, I think, with everything he kind of put his body through, I mean, almost 80 years old it's a blessing,
Yep. So now we got to go to the second part, which, we talk about a legend who's accomplished a lot. Now we're going to talk about someone that didn't accomplish nearly as much as he could have in his career, but Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt. For me, there's more than 5 moments, but I'm just going to stick with the 5 that I like the most, and I'll kick it off this time. So obviously when the Wyatt family debuted on Raw, they put that beat down on Kane, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is kind of weird. It kind of feels like a Louisiana in my head at the time. Like, is it going to be like the hillbillies, the Godwins, right? Like, is it going to be like the Godwin kind of thing? I don't know what they're trying to do. And then he grabs that lantern and blows it out. We're here, and blows it out. I'm like, dude, this is going to be something different. I like this, and I was a huge fan of the Wyatt family, like and Bray Wyatt, and what sitting in that rocking chair, and just nothing could top that for me. I thought for me that was my favorite part of 2013, 2014 for sure. So MVP will go to you.
Okay, so to piggyback off of you, the the Wyatt family, like I was very excited when they debuted because I did watch Bray Wyatt in FCW.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That Bray Wyatt character was I guess an homage to Dan Spivey,
Mm.
and when it was in FCW, it felt more like a cult kind of thing.
Right, cult leader.
Yeah, cult leader. So I thought, and his promos were money. I don't know if you've ever seen his FCW promos when he's just trying to fine tune the character, but he he uh, he cut some pretty bone chilling promos. And then when he did the Sister Abigail, and I think he did it later in his career, he would actually hold the guy up and kind of waltz with him first before he dropped
Mhm.
him.
oh yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool.
yeah. The creative mind he had is
Yes.
I don't think anyone's near that creativity currently on the roster.
Oh,
The
not at all. I think people are too afraid to think outside the box. So kind of unpopular uh, belief, but I wasn't nearly as big a fan of Bray Wyatt as most people, especially when it got away from the Wyatt family being like a cult thing, and then turned into what the demon, the supernatural kind of indestructible kind of thing.
yeah.
This wasn't my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people loved it. So,
Yeah, it's
but
kind of hard to buy into the supernatural stuff, especially when you're a wrestling fan. Like, you know, how am I supposed to believe that this guy that like can summon the spirits of the 1800s is going to lose this match to, Spike Dudley or something? But yeah, I get you. Third man.
Well, I wasn't watching a whole lot of wrestling like during the CM Punk era. Actually, this era I kind of started watching right around when this Wyatt family Shield kind of thing was kind of going on, and that's kind of the first like real memory of the Bray Wyatt characters. I didn't really watch any FCW. Was Elimination Chamber 2014 when it was the Wyatt family versus the Shield, and just a crazy match between all three of these guys.
yeah,
I don't think. I think everybody. I think that match was so great because everybody had a chance to kind of shine in that match. Coming from the moves on the inside to going through the tables on the outside, and just three dominant factions where you see nobody really kind of knew where the Shield was going. But to see the Wyatt family actually beat the Shield was pretty crazy. If I remember that correctly, I think Bray pinned Roman to finish that match. I want to say so. Um, but that was like the first iteration of Bray Wyatt that I kind of seen. Um, sometimes those promos kind of went over my head a little bit just because he kind of talking about the the spirits and this and that, but
Sister Abigail.
Sister Abigail, not knowing who that was. So I'm like you, MVP. It kind of took me a while to kind of um, get into that character.
Yep. Yeah. So my second moment, I knew we were going to steal each other's moments here. I knew that was going to happen, but you know, against the Shield Elimination Chamber. And when you think about who was in that match, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, John Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan,
Right.
they can go. Two big monster guys. Rest in peace to Brody Lee too, right?
Yeah.
So that's sad. But no, that match for me, when he was that cult leader, Bray Wyatt, I feel he was over so much that I think Cena was the champion at the time. They really should have put the strap on. I think he would have been a good champion with the Wyatt family with him, and that whole cult leader thing. Like maybe they're going to help him retain and all this stuff. But I think putting the belt on him would have been a really good move. I think it took him a long time to realize how good he was to put a belt on him. In my personal opinion, maybe some people don't agree with that. Bray Wyatt, cult leader Bray Wyatt in the rocking chair with the Wyatt family should have had the title, in my opinion. But I'm not writing for WWE. But that match, Elimination Chamber, that was a great match. And some could argue, like even from that match till all through the years, Roman Reigns might have been one of the biggest rivals of Bray Wyatt over the years. So I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff with that match that I could talk about, but you already did, so we'll go to MVP.
So my next one is also Elimination Chamber, but not that one. This one was 3 years later when he won the WWE Championship.
There you go. Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's
3 years too late. But he did do it.
But they still put it on him, and he was still their guy, and he held it up until Mania. Oh, I think he might have retained it. No, I think Orton beat him at Mania, but he still held it, and nobody can take that away from him.
That's true.
That was a stacked Elimination Chamber. I think it was Corbin, Cena, Styles.
Yeah,
Ambrose and Miz. I mean, those are superstars there.
Yeah.
And I think Cena was the champ at that time. He was 6 at that time. So to be able to beat Cena and AJ Styles and those guys Elimination Chamber, they really must have thought really high of him. And definitely a great moment for him for sure.
He pinned AJ, right?
I believe he pinned AJ for the win. I think he caught him with the phenomenal form and hit him with Sister Abigail.
Okay.
I think. But that's definitely awesome MVP for sure.
All right. You're up next.
So I'm kind of going to piggyback off talking about Orton. And I loved it when Bray Wyatt kind of was reeling Randy Orton into the Wyatt family.
Okay.
I thought that was just amazing storyline. Just the going the back and the forth between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and they got together. They ended up winning the tag team championships together. I just think that whole storyline was awesome. And I think it led into the. I'm sure there's something on your guys' list. I'll probably let you guys talk about it, but it kind of led into a special match between Orton and Wyatt. Is that on any of your guys' lists?
No,
no.
Wasn't mine.
I think it happened at Mania though, didn't it?
It was the not the Mania, but one of the more
the cinematic matches.
Yeah, the House of Horrors match. You guys remember that?
Yeah, okay.
The House of Horrors match.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so it was a little gimmicky, right? I thought the front side of it was awesome, and the house looked great, but then it had to end in the ring, which was a little kind of weird. Yeah. But I really remember that match with him and Orton. One of the first, I think, cinematic matches that he had. So I just thought that was different. I love when any promotion does something, outside of the ring. I loved it when Matt Hardy and Jeff, they did it on their compound. I love those matches. So
the deletion matches.
Yeah, just everything with Orton coming up and compounding into that House of Horrors match is probably my number 2.
I agree. That whole story, and I think he did the same thing with Daniel Bryan too. He had a good storyline with Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family wearing the sheep mask too. I'm gonna skip my number 3 to go to number 4 before one of you takes it. But talking about the cinematic matches, the John Cena Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Talk about creativity, like making Cena part of the NWO and then the weightlifting stuff, and I mean that was a great story to watch, right? And it was during COVID, so like to put something like that on,
Yeah.
you could get away with it because I mean there's no one in the crowd, so
Super
you
strong Bray, right? Super strong.
yeah. So no, that I thought that was a creative masterpiece during that WrestleMania. That just like and Cena doing it, you know, and working with Wyatt, you can't get any better than that, you know. So
And those
I'm,
guys looked like they were having fun.
oh yeah, 'cause when you're able to take what you love to do and you don't have the restraints to like I have to perform in front of this audience as WrestleMania, to put something in front of you and say you can do what you want and make it entertaining, that gets your creative juices flowing. So, you know, having Cena do the heel turn and be part of the NWO and, you know, yeah, for sure. But I had to take it before MVP did. I know that's going to be one of his. So we'll kick it back to MVP.
Yeah, that was going to be my last one. Well, my next one is it's another moment with Randy Orton. And it's when Randy Orton set the Fiend on fire.
Oh yeah.
Again, it was during COVID, so it's stuff you can get away with because there's no audience.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when there's Orton pouring the gasoline, you know, Bray's probably slipping out of the ring. They put a dummy in there.
Yeah.
But just I don't know.
The
Setting someone
cinematic.
on fire.
Yeah.
You get it set on fire. That's cool. That's cool in my book.
I mean, as fans, I like how we all watch a man get murdered on television and no one calls 911. Like, hey, that guy just got lit on fire. He's probably dead, but we'll tune in next week and see if he's okay, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was crazy. And I think Alexa Bliss was part of it at that time too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, third man.
I'm actually going to talk about a match where Bray Wyatt actually lost. And I think I want to talk about his feud with The Undertaker.
Yep.
On the road to WrestleMania 31. You know, Taker just lost to Brock, right? I believe the year before he lost to Brock, 20-1, right? And you know, that was just a great buildup between kind of two supernatural beings, right? Undertaker wasn't really, he was a little bit more of the, I guess more the, I don't want to say the rock type, the rocker type, but he wasn't really like the dead man, right? And Bray Wyatt was cutting those promos where I want to see this type of Undertaker. Where is the dead man? You know, where is the Phenom? And they really pumped up Bray to possibly win that match. You know, the only thing that I think that kind of gave it away, like kind of watching that match back, is like, well, Taker just lost to Brock, right? Is he going to lose 2 in a row? But in hindsight, I know I mean, the streak's already gone. And if you really want to strap a rocket to this guy, you haven't beat Undertaker. You know, you haven't beat Undertaker in the ring, you know, 1, 2, 3 with that Sister Abigail in the middle of the ring. If you beat the Undertaker with that, you solidify that finishing move, you know? So I just thought that was a really good build-up, really good match. My favorite part of that match is when Bray Wyatt does the backwards, where he's backwards and he's looking at the Undertaker, and the Undertaker sits up and kind of looks at him at the same time. Just a really cool moment between those two guys. So yeah, that'll be my number 3 moment.
I mean, one could argue that instead of Brock Lesnar, we've already talked, he can absorb ending the streak and all that, but Bray Wyatt would have been a fantastic person to end the streak, in my opinion. That would have set him on a... Now, I don't know if the fans would have ever got behind him like they did, because everyone loves The Undertaker, but yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you did, but that whole, the backward crawl and then Undertaker sits up, yeah, that was good stuff, so... I'm going to go with when The Fiend debuted and took out Finn Balor.
Oh yeah,
Is it just, huh?
SummerSlam 2019. I
Yep.
love that 2019 Fiend.
Yeah,
Awesome.
because it showed this new, like, well, what is this now? Like, what is this new? And then to go back and forth, you have this monster with the Fiend and the teeth showing and the dreads, but then the next night on Raw, well, wowie, like on the Firefly Funhouse, he's like, you just gotta let you don't want him to come in. Like that whole split personality thing, that was great. That was really good stuff. And a lot of people thought it was, way too much comedic look, the Firefly Funhouse, but I thought it was great because you had this Mr. Rogers guy, and then it's like, don't bring that guy out. The other guy, you don't want to make him mad. Like, that's awesome. I love every bit of that. So, the way the Fiend debuted and that whole part, that's my number 4.
And to piggyback off of that, Michael Cole said yesterday on SmackDown that one thing we never got was the Demon versus the Fiend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That would have been great. I mean, can you imagine those two entrances back to back? That would have been awesome.
For sure.
My number 4 is when he returned to WWE at Extreme Rules.
Oh yeah.
A la Forbidden Door.
The Forbidden Door, yep.
Is that AEW was doing Forbidden Door, right? And then WWE that they like answer with that Bray Wyatt's back?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
They had to one up them. How can you do that? Bring back one of the most beloved characters.
Yep. Absolutely.
And they did it. And for there was so much hype around his return, and it's just a shame that we never got to see what was planned or where it would have went. But it showed a more human side to Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
A more relatable side. And there's nothing else to say about
that. Was a great return because you didn't even have to say, he never had to say one word. He walked out and he blew the lantern out, and that's it. That's all you need. It's all the fans needed. So no, that's a great moment. The third man, we kick it to you.
So this moment is pretty personal to me because I actually got to see the Fiend Bray Wyatt live 3 rows back at Survivor Series 2019 War Games at the Allstate. So great. I went with a couple of my buddies, Brad and Scott. We invested in the 3rd row seats right behind the commentary, 3 rows back, and that was just an awesome event. I went to NXT War Games the night before, but I got to see the Fiend's entrance live with the red and the lasers. He fought Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship that night, and I got great pictures in my phone. I went through them this week, and just being able to see that live and have everybody with their fireflies out, and just being a part of that just really shows. It gives you from the superstars. It separates the superstars from the megastar, right? And I think that Bray doing the Fiend and then doing Firefly Funhouse with Mercy the Buzzard and Sister Abigail and Vince McMahon, like
that's some good shit.
That's some good shit. I agree with you. A lot of people thought, I don't know about this, but the way he was able to change the light to the dark, like even within the Funhouse, just that whole 2019 run with the Fiend was just awesome. Seeing those lights coming around and then the screeching on the TV, it was just awesome character. And a lot of people said, it's 2022, 2019. You can't believe that. But that was a believable character to me, and I think it'll hold up forever.
Yep, because it kind of felt like it wasn't like kind of supernatural, but it more felt like I'm a nice guy. Don't make me put the mask on. Because then I turn into.
It more felt like Dr. Jekyll, like Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
big deal. That's what it kind of felt like, and I just loved all the work that he did with the Fiend, and Muscle Man Bray and Mr. Rogers Bray, just great work, man. Something that I don't think anybody's seen coming.
Yeah, and then my fifth moment, it kind of piggybacks off Matt with the return. His promo on SmackDown, where he was saying, "This is like the real me. For the first time, I get to tell you guys how much I love this." And I picked that as my last moment because it hits different now. They're like, he got to really show the fans the real Bray Wyatt for a chance, and then it obviously turned into, you see the symbol on the screen that goes into what he wanted to do. But I felt like he truly meant what he was saying from his heart. Like, before we get to the storyline stuff, this is me. I'm back because of you guys. You guys wanted me here, and he felt so appreciative of that. That promo it hits a lot different now. When you watch it and you're just like, wow, like, to see the real Bray Wyatt for a change, it was good, and he got that out of him, and he got to do that. So I think that's pretty good. It's a good moment.
Speaking of that butterfly symbol, seems like a number of wrestlers have gotten that tattooed on them.
Yeah,
this past couple of days.
Nice,
for sure.
That's pretty cool. Shows you how much he was loved.
Absolutely. Yeah, people don't realize it. That's IRS's son, Erwin R. Shyster. A lot of people don't know that. If you're not really a wrestling fan, and know that this is a second, third generation guy. Wrestling's in his blood, all his life.
Yeah.
So my last one was gonna be the Firefly Funhouse match. Lucky took it. And then you did talk about the Firefly Funhouse. I thought all that stuff was genius. That what Third Man said, the Jekyll and Hyde, Mr. Rogers, and I think he had a couple matches as that Bray Wyatt, even coming to the ring with the original Universal title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My fifth, I'd have to. It'd probably be when he was the Burnt Fiend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A more dumb.
Funny. Yeah. It's funny, but it had to be. You got to explain. Oh, what happened to? I thought Randy Orton burned him to death. Oh, yeah, didn't die, but he's burnt to a crisp now.
I think that's the breaking point of when I kind of fell off of the Fiend character. Is we're like, okay, that man got murdered on live television. Mm-hmm. And now it felt like a Michael Myers movie. Like, no matter what you do to this guy, he's just gonna keep coming back, But yeah, no, Burnt Fiend. Yep.
And then I do want to mention all the stuff he did with Alexa Bliss and prolonged her career, because it seemed like every other week she was getting hurt.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what they're gonna do with her. Oh, let's put her with the Fiend, and we'll have her do all this stuff that doesn't have to involve her getting hurt.
Right.
So I think that pairing prolonged her career.
Absolutely.
For sure. Third Man.
I don't really have like a specific moment. I just want to highlight the people that WWE trusted Bray Wyatt to be on the stage with. Like, I mean, at WrestleMania, he was head to head with The Rock. You know what I mean? At WrestleMania, and yeah, The Rock, beat Rowan in 12 seconds or whatever. But he's going toe to toe on the mic, with The Rock. We talked about WrestleMania 31, with The Undertaker. Just everything that I think that he was able to do in such a short amount of time, really.
Yeah.
Like guys like AJ Styles, these guys are in their 40s, Rey Mysterio's in their 50s, and he was just able to do so much stuff in such a short amount of time, and being able to change up your gimmick, as they say, right? In the kayfabe world, it's just something you can't teach. You know,
Yeah, because there was nowhere there was no future for Husky
right?
Harris.
To be Husky Harris, getting kicked
Yeah,
out of the Nexus to be where he is now, just
yeah,
kind of shows that, man, the guy just creatively was just a genius. And I just wanted to highlight how, everybody always says good things, right? Everybody wants to remember good things when you pass away. But I just read so much stuff on how he was such the nicest guy.
yeah,
When he's going into events and security, people want like his autograph. He tells security, hey, let him pass. I
Yep.
want to talk with him. I want to give him autographs. So just seeing the outpour of love and that he gave out was just something really, really, I think, really special. Just shows that, like Lucky said in the beginning, they're superstars, and we know, oh, we like this and we don't like that, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and we kind of got to remember that. And me being a dad of two young children, it hits pretty hard for me, because I know what that's like.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw a video of him on TikTok. He got like an Uber and he had to go somewhere. This is like maybe a month and a half ago or whatever, right before he got sick. And a kid was asking for his autograph, and he was like getting in the Uber, and he's like, "Can you please wait a second?" And he gets out of the Uber to go sign this picture with this kid and take a picture with him. He was a really nice guy, from what I heard. And even like Alexa Bliss in her tribute said that like when she needed help, he was like, "I'll help you. Let's talk creatively about what you could do with whatever," and the character she was playing at the time. So yeah, he was definitely there for everyone and wanted to be there and whatever they needed. So one thing I wanted to point out or mention, I guess, you guys hear what Roman Reigns did
Yeah,
Friday?
what?
brought the Universal title, right, to present to
Yeah,
the family, I think.
he went to their house and he gave the blue belt. He said it's retired permanently. Like he beat Fiend for that title, so he
Right.
gave it to the family. He said, "This is I have too many belts. You can have this one." No, I'm just kidding, but he gave him that belt that he beat him for. So I thought that was a nice gesture. He couldn't make it to SmackDown, I think, because of flight issues. Same with Alexa Bliss, but he still did something to honor Bray with, and I thought that was pretty cool coming from the tribal chief of WWE even acknowledges Bray Wyatt and what he meant to the business. So, um, yeah, that's all I got. Anything else, you guys?
I think WWE did right on SmackDown. They did right by him. A lot of times
Yeah,
they say for previous people they just put a little 10 bell salute and they put a little 5 or 10 seconds on the screen and then you don't hear nothing about it again. This whole this whole show was kind of dedicated to him, which I thought was just a really good way to highlight him and celebrate him.
Yep.
yeah. They took a break and no storylines were further,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
which was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, and I love how everyone incorporated, Bray Wyatt stuff. So like even LA Knight said, a wise man once told me, the next time you see me, run.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool, and because like they were in character, but they were also acknowledging what happened, and I thought LA Knight did a fantastic job of that. He was very good at like, I'm in this feud with Miz, but I'm paying homage to Bray doing it. I thought he did an excellent job. So
And then how do you think he must feel knowing he had Bray Wyatt's last match?
Yeah,
the pitch black match,
yeah, the Mountain Dew
Yeah,
Pitch Black with Uncle Howdy.
Bo
yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah, was it really Bo Dallas? Do we really know if that's Bo
I
Dallas?
don't think at that time it was, but it was meant to be. Eventually, it was
You
meant
know what? I think there's a spoiler. Like if you go on to WWE 2K23 and you look up and you go to Uncle Howdy, it will say his NXT title history as if he was Bo Dallas.
Really
Yeah,
There you go.
it's one of those things. So
interesting.
All right, you boys got anything else? It was a nice change of pace to do our top 5 list for you know paying homage to a couple of legends that we lost. So You guys got anything else?
Uh-huh.
No, we're good.
Good. Looking forward to Payback next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's going to be good to watch. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Anyone watching the All In at Wembley tonight?
Wait a
that
minute.
might
That's
be.
tonight?
Is it tonight or is it tomorrow?
I thought it was
Is
September. I thought it was September. No, you might be right. I think it was tonight.
I'll have to check because it's a pretty stacked card.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that MJF and Adam Cole are doing is phenomenal. Just
Baby.
yeah, they're doing their. I mean, I used to call it MJF a crybaby, but this kind of deal that he's doing now, it's kind of changing my mind on him. He can kind of switch gears. Really like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging it too myself. So, all right. Well, we're gonna be back next week with our Payback review and all that. Again, rest in peace, Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt gone too soon, and I'm gonna try to end this podcast. I'm gonna try to pay homage to Bray Wyatt, but we're the Triple Threat Pro Wrestling Podcast, and make sure you subscribe. We're here.